Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining. I hope you have a wonderful time in Cologne at the DMExco. My name is Sören Stamer, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Comedia. Comedia, our mission is to elevate the customer experience and drive impact for our brand customers. So, today, I'm here to share how to turn visitors into happy customers. Because that's something that we see for all of our customers in different verticals, like luxury brands we work with, like the LVMH group, or like telecom companies, but also banks, insurances, utilities. They all have the channels to, there is a visitor on the website and you want to convert them to become a customer and then get them to be a happy customers, because these happy customers, they are much more valuable. So we're talking especially about the Omnichannel experience. That means not just one touch point, not just the website alone, but indeed the fact that all of us usually use nowadays multiple channels to communicate. Like if you're on the physical store, you also have the mobile phone and you look up stuff. But also the topic of talking to someone. Surprisingly, that is indeed a channel that is highly relevant to increase your success with customers. And then we have AI. AI changing a little bit the game by automating a lot of things or giving you a lot of support. Also, however, on the other side, the customers start using AI to find their answers and to solve their problems. So let's dive right in. When you look at the statistics, it's kind of frustrating, right? Like there are visitors on your site, and often like 42% of them say they abandoned a planned purchase because there were just too many options. So the paradox of choice. If you offer more options, it doesn't create more business, it does the opposite. And when you yourself, I was basically looking at that, and I experienced that many times in my life. Like I try to figure out like which heat pump to buy, and it was just kind of like impossible. And even when you go to a car kind of like website, like even Mercedes, you are sometimes overwhelmed with, okay, when I click here and that and this option. So it's really the fact that customers struggle with the number of choices. But also, difficult to find the right product. Is this product the one for me? Like, does it fit to my phone? Does it work for me? It's actually surprisingly hard sometimes to answer that question. Again, more than 50% of customers struggle with that. And 7 of 10 shoppers, they start to put something in the shopping basket. They really wanted to buy something from you and then stopped. So 70%, which is brutal, right? Like, and you wonder why. Why is that? So the scenario usually that we see with our customers is they have built a great brand. So you've done that already. You have a great brand you work with. You kind of like also invested a lot of money into ads, getting people to your site, wonderful ads, nicely targeted, a lot of spend on Google and other platforms, and LinkedIn and Instagram. So people click through. They are on your website, so you have a chance, right? There is a visitor. Hello, wonderful visitor. And then, what happens next? You show them what you have. You have your products, and here's the listings, and here's all the stuff you can do. You have a lot of information for these customers. And they start to usually click around, search, and then they don't buy. The 2% buy, some of them really go through, but the 98%, they don't buy. So what's your next move? What do you do then? People are not buying. What are you doing? And what we see is the one thing you should not let happen is don't let them disappear. They came to your site. They were interested. They kind of like already showed you that they have an intent to buy something that you have. There might be some who figured out it's not a fit, but there are quite a few of them who already showed you, hey, I'm here, I want to buy. And then, if you let them go now, you will not find them again, right? You might have to invest some money in retargeting, but ideally, you don't want to stop there. You want to basically be in touch with that person. So instead of, on the left side, to say, yeah, 2% conversion is fine, we just buy more ads and we have bigger cake, and 2% is more. Think about the right side. What about the 98%? What can I do to activate the other customers, to activate the ones who wanted to buy but struggled, to the ones who didn't find the right product, even though it might be in your database. That is sometimes we call it monetization attitude. Hey, take the leads or the traffic that you generated and activate them better. Kind of like, do something about helping them buy. And the trick is actually engaging them. Not just kind of like having your website and let them click and let them disappear, but engage them in various ways so that that you help them solve their problem. Example, one thing is you want to find out who's that? Who's surfing here? Who's browsing? Like, what's the context? Like, ideally you find out what is that user, who's that basically visitor, where they come from, and what's their intent. You also want to know, what do they try to achieve? Do they want to buy new sneakers, or do they have a problem with some kind of like invoice that you sent them? Or what is it that they want to achieve right now? Do you want to buy a present? Do they want to replace their marathon shoes? Do they need something for training? Do they want to just look around? So you want to find out what is their own intent and their own goal. The better you do that, the better you can help them get there the fastest. You also want to figure out who's most likely to buy and who's most likely to spend the most. So, if someone is just there to buy a candle, that's maybe not as valuable if someone is there to buy a whole new kitchen. So when you are IKEA, you want to figure out which one is which. And you want to figure out what is it that they're struggling with right now. What is it that basically they are not able to do? You yourself, you might have had that experience, that you wanted to buy something, and you try to figure it out which of these three options is the fitting best one, and you have one question: does it work with my X, Y, Z? And you don't find that answer in the document. And then what do? You try to Google it, you try to read it, and most likely, at some point in time, you give up, because that experience is exactly what people struggle with. There's too much friction, too much complexity to solve that problem in that moment. If you, as a seller, find that out, let's fix that problem, right? So what's holding them back? How can we do that? And especially, how can you help them solve that problem? So what we at Comedia see is that is a fundamental thing to drive your conversion, is help you understand your customers, your visitors, before they become customers, and help them solve their problem, help them become customers, because make it frictionless, make it easier, make it kind of like less hassle to just sign for the stuff that they want to. We call that omnichannel engagement. It's multiple aspects. One aspect is doing that well, you need to have the understanding of the customer, not just on one channel. Okay, this certain browser on my website, you want to know it in all touch points. You also want to know the email, you want to know the call center interaction, you want to know the whole basically unified customer profile. You also want to then find ways, how can I make the experience smoother? Like, for example, product finder. How can I help people to find the right product much faster? Maybe it's even a conversational thing. Maybe it's kind of like chatting with an expert. But finding ways to create a smoother experience for customers. And then thirdly, deeper kind of like engagement, because it drives more value. We could prove that when you do that well, the customer value goes up, and you have at the end a better outcome. It goes along this like standard cycle. You have to start with tracking what's happening. You need the data, you need the understanding, you need what's happening here. You want to qualify. You want to basically take that tracking data and find out insights. Okay, this person is in this kind of like interest group. This is the background. They bought this before, so this is kind of like a high propensity to buy. Also, this is likely the interest that we have here. You want to engage the customer by various things. If you have a kind of customer that has a high value potentially, and you know a lot about them, it might make sense to do much more than just having a website. You might want to talk to that person. You might want to offer even a video session for them to basically get a kitchen kind of like advice. Or for a luxury customer, you might want to set up a personal shopper experience for this person. Then you convert. You want to kind of like be able to do that on different channels as well. You want to find out what helped me to drive that business. So the attribution, which campaigns, which interactions. And then what we see as a last step is really to nurture that customer. That when you just focus on the winning new customers, you leave away the massive uplift in customer lifetime value when you, after they bought, take care of them. Like, I had that once or twice, that customers bought something and they really checked in 2 weeks later. Hey, are you happy with your purchase? And if not, what can we do to help you? And it made a huge difference because like, at that moment in time, yes, you just bought this, and if they solve your issues, you are such more a happy customer, and the likelihood that you recommend them, that you can upsell them is so much higher. So the perspective is really the customer life cycle completely, to say, hey, it's not just one selling, it's the taking care of customer long term. So the first thing is, yeah, you need all the data that you have, you need to get from the silos that you have to insights, really bringing that customer profile together and have it where you have the web tracking data, the interaction, the call center, the kind of like email. You have that together so that you have insights, right? What is the customer intent right now? When they right now look on the website and then call in the call center, you know what they are looking for, so you want to use that. Which products they bought before, the traffic source, how do we get this customer here? Previous interaction, the products they looked at, the products they bought, all that is highly relevant to find out, hey, how can we help you best in the next step? Things, how long they look at products, right? That makes a difference, which categories they search in, what they bought before. Then you want to have that really available for all interactions in real time. So if someone calls in the call center, ideally people know this customer right now was on the website, looked for this, here's what they bought before. And you might even be able to actually interact with them while they're on the website and you talk to them. Like things like co-browsing, where you start to change the experience of the website for the customer in real time. Let me help you with that. Let me configure this for you. Let me basically put this together for you. Let me propose products for you. One thing that we see as really a red flag is when customers are on the website, they try to do something, and you see in the data that they struggle. They search for something and they don't find the answer. They search again, they go back. They go somewhere, start doing something, and then they don't finish. These red flags you can use and in real time react to that. Offer them something. Hey, we see you're struggling, can we help? Can we basically have a chat session? Do you want to basically have a phone session for high-value customers? Those things are indeed, in real time, very powerful to not let them go. If they give you the mobile phone number, you can even reach out kind of a day later. Hey, yesterday you were there, you want to do something. If you have the phone number and they give you the right to reach out, that's then not a lost customer, but it's an opportunity. Same thing is when you do that well, you suddenly can make a difference, right? I mentioned the example with IKEA. If you have a candle in your shopping basket, I'm not sure IKEA wants to invest a session with, an expert to plan a kitchen. That's kind of like not. But if you know, okay, microwave, an oven, like a new dishwasher, they all have that like 2,000 something in the shopping basket. It makes much sense to say, hey, can we offer you a free kitchen planning session? Click here and then basically have a session with an expert. Like, let me help you with that. The likelihood that they buy goes up significantly, and the likelihood that you basically uplift the value also massively, because when you engage with them in the kitchen planning, there is so much more you can sell to them. So the range from automation to highly bespoke human touch experience we see as indeed a powerful driver. When you figure out, like, indeed the customer profile, the shoes they used in the past, how they like to run in the forest, on the street, that they plan for a marathon, you can suddenly do wonderful things, right? You can really recommend the shoes that really fit to them. The soft one that basically have a wide arch, and all these things, you start to basically be much more relevant to customers. So when you reach out to them, for example, to renew, you need new shoes, the next marathon is coming up, or if you kind of like make recommendations, they are really relevant for the customer. They are not just kind of like, yeah, okay, all the same. They fit to the profile that I have. The difference is then suddenly trust. Because if you really propose something that I can relate to because it fits to my profile, I start to trust your advice. I don't basically think it's just pushing more products. It's kind of like what I want to have. And that is partly the strategy here, that you don't push, you don't basically sell, you help visitors buy. by, in the process, when they look for something, help them to get the information they need, help them potentially have a conversation with an expert, have them to go through a kind of product finder or a chat to answer all their questions and let them buy. It is such a different experience where you can also learn a lot about the customers. We see in the luxury spaces, people are willing to give you a lot of information, a lot of zero-party data, when you use the data to help them. They don't like that when you basically use it against them. So personalization is kind of massively demanded, but only if you do it in a way that is valuing the customer and not kind of like doing against them. So in the luxury space, really, it goes so far to have a personal shopper experience where someone sits down and looks at all the products and makes recommendations for you and have even a video session with you. That whole kind of like process, it's not one thing, right? It's multiple little aspects that we see that you can activate. Like we see things, for example, hey, there's a new visitor. Let's activate them by giving them a discount for signing up. You can boost the order value by basically building bundles and then promoting that in the right moment. Things like minimizing cart abandonment, that you kind of like when you look, someone is not kind of moving anymore, that you get them back, or even send an email out. So there are so many little things when you go them together, they really create a much, much easier experience. Also, because you have all that data, it's less guesswork, right? You suddenly can indeed use the data to figure out, oh, that kind of campaign works. That works better than that. This is the best timing for it. This is the target audience that reacts to this. So you have suddenly the data to optimize your kind of engagement, your experience. Like, for example, the timing, when is a good way to reach out after a purchase to ask customers? It's a big one. Like, when do you have the first experience? You might have some questions, and I might get you to give me a good review. Can't be too early, but also shouldn't be too late. Product recommendations also have multiple dimensions, right? It's not just, okay, here product, here's the same products. It's things like repeat purchases. Or I mentioned this shoe variant. If you really are a runner and I know about you that you plan for a marathon or you practice, I could give you basically in line with that plan, here's an offer for you, like for the marathon, here's the shoes, here's the training shoes, and to basically make that really relevant for you based on your past behavior. But also things like, hey, there's a discount for you, there's a lower price, or here are things that are fitting together for the needs you have. There are multiple dimensions where you really get to smarter product recommendations. What you want to achieve is the right product at the right time in the right channel, and it's really, from our perspective, not one thing, right? It is automated journeys where you basically have more like AI controlled to very human shopping experience where you have the video session that I mentioned. The video session makes a difference because trust. What we saw with finance customers, they told us that when you see a person on the other side, you think, oh, this is real, and I can trust this. Because now with more and more scams and all, the reality is that people start to question everything and go, is this real? Can I click on this? Or is this a scam? When you see someone, you can talk to someone, the financial institution told us, yes, that helps them a lot to build that trust with customers. The other area where we see it strongly is luxury fashion. It's like this, let me show you something and let me have this interaction with you. We have a customer that indeed wanted to recreate this high-touch experience from the store where people come and spend a lot of money but have a wonderful experience with prepared for them with coffee and everything. And they wanted the same thing online because people are now traveling around the world. Nonetheless, they wanted to get to the same level of interaction. And that possibility to have really a data-driven approach, you have all the systems to help you recommend products, help you kind of like understand the customer, and a face-to-face session with the customer in real time is really kind of like powerful. You can't do that for every customer, so it's really part of the decision, when do you do what? When do you propose a chat, or the chatbot, or a call, or a video call? The impact of that is massive. So we have a customer, it's a telco customer, that used that strategy for kind of like bringing visitors on the website and then converting them. They increased the conversion rate by 209%. So they But just not giving up when someone comes to the website, they converted 3 times as many customers that came to your site. And I think that is massive, right? Like with 3 times. They had this insight that, indeed, when you are there and you're looking at mobile phone plans, you very likely are in the market to buy something. And their strategy was really to not let you go, to get you into a conversation, to basically therefore get your phone number, to reach out afterwards, to basically have you in the nurturing, to have you kind of like, and to also optimize the ad spend. Because when you now track not just the website conversions, but conversions in call centers and other means, you can also optimize the ad spend much better. They call this like, they want to remove the digital blindness. Because before we did that with them, they spent money on Google, they got the traffic to the website, and then they didn't know, did they convert? Because you can convert on the website, but you can also call a phone number, and then you convert in the call center. That was often the case, but those conversions were not tracked with Google and did not optimize the targeting. And we help them to basically track both, right? To basically when you now, for example, have a conversation with someone calling the phone number, we know, no, it's the same customer. We can track that, connect that, and say, okay, that customer came through Google, called this number later on, and it's the same customer, and we can attribute that correctly. Mashmobil, another customer, they use that in the context of Facebook to do the same thing, like Facebook campaigns to be optimized, but also activating the information from the call center, from other channels, to bring it back to the Facebook campaign. The uplift here was like 17% lower cost per leads and 44% more conversions. So also a significant impact on their digital sales. All that we basically try to bring together. We see that the complexity of these things is pretty high. You have to manage the content for all the touch points, the variants. You have to basically, for personalization, you have to have a lot more content. You need to bring the data together, and you need to be able in real time to activate the data, or to take the data and have actions that are played out. You want to sometimes trigger messaging right away when something happens, or you basically do it a day later. What we have with the Media Experience Platform, we have the content management plus the experience management around it with all these touch points, with things like on the web, apps, but also call center messaging, video shopping, video calls, outbound calls. So it's a lot that we see that indeed plays a role. It's not one thing. It's really the orchestration of this omni-channel experience. What we see with AI now happening is that you can get a lot of help in massively, increase the productivity of your marketing team. So one thing is, for example, you need a lot of content, right? Content for all these different touch points, and you want more of that, more personalized content, more variants. AI can help with that. What we see is like AI can indeed understand the tone of voice, the brand briefing, and optimize the content, create variants for different target audiences, set things up, even setting up the rules how to play that out. AI can also track the impact. So what is converting how often? And we are actually surprised how well that works. How well AI, large language models, can take performance data, analyze that, and come up with proposals. Like, for example, this target audience we see lower from yesterday, and here are things you can do. So it's really, I think from our perspective, the biggest chance to make the life of the marketer easier by taking care of a lot of the complexity in the background. Second thing is personalization, right? Like when I mentioned this, understanding the performance, really giving you feedback, understanding the different segments, and creating variants, setting things up, and driving insights. And the third one is, on the other side, like I talked about these call center agents, where we see this big trend with a lot more AI agents. The truth is, it's really powerful to talk to a human. So this human touch, the ability to bring these two things together. But the human you're talking to is not like in the past alone. They have basically AI tracking the conversation, translating it for you potentially, like in multiple languages, also transcribing it, analyzing the tone of voice, are you happy or not, and in real time makes predictions, makes recommendations that you can with one click then get to the customer. So in a way, the AI is not just influencing the website, but also the conversations, and those are then nicely synchronized. there's more to come, right? We see, I was in San Francisco over the last few years many times, and whenever I came back, Waymo was much more accepted. Now it's basically the preferred option for most people I talk to. They like the self-driving car more than the Uber car. They say, hey, yeah, self-driving, it's clean, it's kind of like nobody to talk to, you don't have to write a review. So at the end, the realization is the people love the AI version more than the human version. So I'm not sure that it's true every time, but there might be quite a few situations where indeed we are happy to have an AI agent taking care of us. We know, however, also that it's not true in all the cases. So having a human-to-human interaction that is also part of your overall kind of experience is a powerful aspect that we see as well. So with that, I'd like to thank you. So, as I said, elevate, experience, drive, impact. From our perspective, it's really the challenge for most brands we work with in all the verticals. So kind of like what a company has to do, create a better customer experience. What we know is, though, that this works. That when you create a better customer experience, you can win markets. Like Mobile, I mentioned earlier, they were a small startup in Spain. They grew so much faster that they recently merged with Orange, and now Orange is bigger than Telefonica. And for someone who heard Telefonica as the biggest telco in Spain, no, with a better customer experience, you can take over even incumbents. And with that, I'd like to thank you.